Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody can hear me. This is the Lunatic Libertarian, and we are going to be talking about this upcoming main event this Sunday, depending on which part of the world you're in, with Earl the Truth Spence versus Tim the Soul Snatcher or the Phoenix Tszyu. Tim Tszyu is coming off of two recent fights. Earl Spence has been inactive for over 3 years, and we are going to not only have a what was anticipated as 154-pound catch weight at 158, we now have an official middleweight boxing match. The grand arrivals happened early this morning out in Australia, and uh, I am very, very, very happy that this fight has happened. I think that Tim Tszyu needs some American redemption, and I think that Earl Spence is going to show the world what's left in the tank if there is anything. I like Earl Spence. Don't get me wrong. I think Earl Spence is a great fighter. I'm not taking anything away from being a three-time world champion. I'm not taking away from what happened with his car accident. I'm not taking anything away from him as far as he's still able to continue his life as a relatively, able-bodied human being. But taking on Tim Tszyu for the first fight back in 3 years is a bold statement. And we know Earl Spence likes to make bold statements. He made bold statements to Bud Crawford, and that fight took a long time to come to fruition. A lot of things happened in between those statements, and we saw the results of that fight 3 years ago. Terrence Crawford went on to go up to 168 pounds and become another undisputed unified world champion in the four belt era as far as that weight class. So I think it's a great thing that's happening right now this weekend. I'm waiting on my guest to come on. He had to go run some errands. I'm running behind. I had to talk to my son's boxing coach this afternoon because I just enrolled him in the USA Boxing. So, uh, you know, we well like to set these things up, but yet again, life happens. Like I said, I'm waiting on JSmiff to come on the air, and we're going to talk about these two individuals. Now, Tim Tszyu has been fighting recently. People say that they weren't great fights, but he beat two undefeated fighters in the 154-pound weight class and took their O's. Now, whether people consider them to be good fighters or regional fighters, I mean, they're still undefeated fighters. So anybody that's looking at Earl Spence with this 3 year wait, 3 year wait to come back, the stepping in the ring with Sebastian Fundora, saying that he was going to come after him, and then nothing can come of that. I mean, are we really going to see Earl Spence Jr. at 160 pounds at the best that he could ever be? We will see on Saturday. And like I said, I like Earl Spence Jr. as a fighter. It's just that I've looked at his career and the situations that's happened. I know that boxing is about promotion and attention on fighters and everything like that, but when it came down to his skill sets, you could see some flaws in Earl Spence, but who was going to exploit those flaws at that time in the 147-pound division? He went overseas. It's almost 10 years now since he beat Kell Brook. But yet again, I don't know what we're going to get yet out of a 3 year layoff of Earl Spence Jr. So I mean, if we're going to get there, we're going to get there, and hopefully nothing happens in between now and the weigh-in. Everybody seems healthy. There doesn't seem any issues. So we're going to see. Now I'm going to see if my man is almost on his way here with this analyst point of view. because JSmiff and I go on this boxing for breakfast all the time, and I mess around and say some craziness, but I like boxing debates, and I like real debates that aren't based off of narratives of nonsense. We understand that Tszyu got stopped by Fundora. We know that he got stopped by Bakram Murtazaliev. Now, if you were to look at those two individual fighters, those are two people that I don't think anybody in the 154-pound weight division is actually crying out to fight. And Tszyu fought Bakram once, and he fought Fundora twice. Now, when he fought Fundora the first fight, we understand that he caught the base of the forearm here on the crown of the head, and it cut him pretty bad. Now, to fight through that and still make it the distance was pretty incredible. I was actually ringside for that fight. It's probably one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life. And to see the damage that was happening in that fight and the will that was expressed by both those men, it's a beautiful thing. Now, people may say that, Fundora dominated with the jab and this and that, but I mean, if you look at Tszyu and his ability to throw his right hand or put himself into position, yeah, it may look awkward and it's not supposed to be the most perfect aligned thing, but the end result is the connection of the punch and the damage that's inflicted after the fact. And, that's why we say it came from an awkward angle, it went here, went there, but he broke Sebastian Fundora's nose in the second round before the cut and had him leaking out of his nose. Shout out to Sebastian Fundora for actually making it through that. And it made for a beautiful event for everybody that loves boxing. Now, when we look at what happened the second fight, when Tszyu got stopped by Fundora, Tim came back to fight Murtazaliev, got stopped, and then fought a fight that he won, and then came back and then he fought Fundora for the second fight. That straight left hand that dropped Tszyu in the first round of that fight was a beautiful shot. Tim ducked down, Fundora threw it straight, and it dropped him. So there's fundamental flaws with Tszyu. There's fundamental flaws in his defense. Now, we have now seen that he's changed his team again. He is now with a new team, and it's going to be a very entertaining fight. I don't think much as far as physical attributes wise, right? Either one of these men is giving anything up to the other, and I don't think that we're going to see that happen with them not being engaging with each other. Now, yet again, there's so many questions with Earl the Truth Spence Jr., the 3-year layoff, there's no examples, so we're going to see if Earl the Truth Spence Jr. is actually going to come out of a 3-year layoff and be able to beat a man in a division that's 2 weight classes higher than he's ever fought as a professional. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to introduce my guy, JSmiff, Boxing for Breakfast, Box Center 2.0, the man out of the Dominican Republic, my brother, JSmiff.
Salute, my brother.
How you doing, my guy? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Thank you very much for being on my show, man. I appreciate you. We have our boxing debates. Now we can really have a debate about some analytics of how fighters, because you are an analyst, you are a former professional fighter, former amateur fighter, you are around the Dominican Republic, and you are in the gyms out there in DR, and I see you every morning analyzing boxing, and I love your opinion. It's a very unbiased side of boxing that is actually kind of refreshing.
I appreciate you, my brother, and let me just say, I appreciate you inviting me on your platform. You coming up, you on the come up, you grinding. So I appreciate you having me on, my guy.
Oh, no problem. And I shout out to all boxing channels that give analytics on boxing because we all learn from each other. And boxing is so subjective. You may see something that somebody else doesn't, and that's what makes the sweet science about the sweet science. You know, it's all up about here, the thinking man sport, right? Just like Roger and Floyd talked about, it's a thinking man sport. So to see so many eyes around the world to give their opinion on boxing, and then what you can learn off of that, it's a great thing.
Yeah, yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. We're all students of the game one way or another.
Yes, sir. So talking about Earl Spence Jr., what do you think is the biggest hindrance on him with this 3-year layoff? What do you think is going to hurt him the most or be beneficial to him the most for this 3-year layoff?
So I'll start with obviously what's gonna hurt him the most about the layoff is the potential for some ring rust. You know, obviously it's a long time to be away from professional boxing. There's also the questions about what is Errol Spence's punch resistance going to look like after his last fight. We know he took a nasty beating. Okay, how is he going to bounce back from that? And of course, you know, his mental game. Are we going to find ourselves, and I've said this before, are we going to find ourselves, you know, saying, let your hands go, Errol, let your hands go. What's happening? He's not throwing punches. Or are we going to see the same punch output that we're used to seeing from Errol Spence? So there's some question marks there, but, you know, there's also some residual damage that could be there from his last fight. We don't, so I guess it's just the question marks with Errol. But the positive about it is that when you have a layoff, you also give time to your body to heal. You know, fighters take a lot of damage in those fights. Even when you win, you take a lot of damage. And when you go into a layoff, your body truly heals. So that's one thing. His body is as good as it's going to be. Another positive thing, I seen Arrow in the gym like in February. And I say that's important because he didn't just, you know, go into training camp and then go into the gym from being out of shape, which he's done in the past and other fighters have done. That's not a good thing. You know, that's why the Terrence Crawfords of the world and the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, that's why they the GOATs, because these guys stayed in shape. Errol Spence this time around, he didn't wait to go into training camp to be in shape. I already seen him in shape. And he had been a little bit overweight. Last year at some point, he looked a little bit overweight. But he got back in the gym, and by the time he went into training camp, his body is healed from the damage he took in that fight. You know, good shape, looking strong. It's really all about what type of performance are we going to get from Errol. That's what it's about. But he looks good, bro. He looks
He
good.
looked real solid at the Grand Rivals and the face-off in Australia today. I mean, he looks solid. You know, there's a question whether, you know, the 2 pounds is something that are they just are the two fighters that are trying that because both of them are at a crossroads. Like I said, Tim has been stopped by Murtazalia Fundora, and you know he fought some undefeated fighters, but still, is he going to be on the world class level? And Tim Tszyu did own the WBO 154-pound title when he fought Fundora for the vacant WBC title, and I think that Tim Tszyu is a throwback fighter that regardless if he's hurt, he's still going to keep throwing until he can't throw anymore. And maybe that's to his detriment. But it's exciting for the fans, wouldn't you agree?
I have to agree with you 100%. Every single Tim Tszyu fight, you know what you're going to get. Win, lose, or draw. He's taking a couple of L's. Most of his fights, he wins. He stops people. He's a knockout puncher. And I would say his you know, he's not, I can't tell you that he's as good as Costa Tszyu, but his punch output is almost identical. I think his weakness is that Tszyu had better defense, had better footwork, but he also fought at a smaller division, so he was more mobile. But as far as from the offensive perspective, when you look at the mechanics, when you look at the way that he pause with the lead hand to set up the hard right hand right down the pipe. It almost looks identical to his pops Tszyu. So when it comes to the offensive firepower, Tszyu is the real deal Holyfield.
Oh, and we've seen him fly Fundor's head in the first fight and in the second fight. We've seen him tag the boogeyman at the time, Bakram Murtazalia, with some hard shots, and he didn't take a backward step from Bakram either. So I think that shows the integrity of the intention behind Tszyu. And, that's what makes me a fan, is that he has that integrity behind his intention, that he's not just saying, oh, I'm going to go out here and put on a show. He actually goes out there and throws his hands. It's not about just saying what he's going to do. He actually goes out there and does it, and he does that on every single occasion. I've never seen him be gun shy in any fight.
But I will say this, when he faced Bakram Murtazalia, he fought the wrong fight. And whether he underestimated Bakram or not, I don't know. I'm not going to say that. But he fought the wrong fight because he had a guy in front of him who had a nasty reach advantage on him and was just teeing off. Like this, I get it that Tszyu is going to sit there and bang it out with you. But you allow Bakram with his footwork to get himself within range to where there was not a lot you can do. Tszyu was missing a lot of punches. A lot.
Well, Bakram was a decorated amateur out of Russia, so Tszyu was not a decorated amateur. So you saw that amateur pedigree come out in that fight.
By the way, I felt like Bakram Murtazalia beat Josh Kelly. I felt like he won that fight. He dictated the pace, threw more punches, landed more punches. I don't know what the judges were looking at. I thought that decision was crazy. I saw Bakram winning it. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes in boxing, right? Ultimately, Tszyu didn't fight the right fight with Bakram. I felt like he underestimated him. Because, come on, I'm going to make a comparison. Remember when Teofimo Lopez fought George Kambosos? And if you remember, and if you consider the last 4 rounds of the fight, Teofimo's beating Kambosos up. Beating him up. Kambosos survived at the end. But he was so far ahead on the cards that he could afford to lose those rounds. That's it. The damage
it was up by a knockdown in the first round. And that sets a precedent, especially.
Because I compare those two fights because Teofimo went into that with Kambosos acting like he was going to blast him out of there quick. And Kambosos boxed his face off. So by the time Teofimo realized, oh shit, we're not going to stop this guy. And he started boxing. He started outboxing Kambosos, beating him. It was too little, too late. In the case of Tszyu Bakram Murtazalia, he never changed it up like Teofimo. He kept doing the same thing and trying to do the same thing and just kept getting pummeled out there. And
he didn't have much time either, bro. That shit ended in the 3rd round. And I think that when that first left hook caught him, it really put him on.
He got hurt. He got hurt.
But yet again, it happened in the 1st round. But what I think is Tszyu, it doesn't matter whether he's hurt or he thinks he can't keep going. His corner threw in the towel versus Murtazalia also, but he kept fighting. Errol Spence got up against Terrence Crawford. He kept fighting. We've seen both of these men cut. We've seen Tszyu wear a bloody mask against Fundor in the first fight. Is there anything that you think that Errol Spence can do besides completely just like obliterating Tszyu that would stop him from coming forward?
See, so here's the thing. Errol Spence, if we take away, right, the inactivity,
I'm saying as the old Errol Spence, is there anything he can do to Tszyu?
Exactly.
This is the 147-pound Errol Spence coming right at the 154-pound Tszyu.
We're assuming we got Errol, the usual Errol. He outboxes Tszyu. That's the thing. To Tim's detriment, he's just going to sit there and bang it out. Errol is more versatile than Timmy. He can move around. He can use those angles. I'm just assuming that we're gonna get that Errol. But Errol Spence is a more versatile fighter. Tszyu is a straightforward fighter that's gonna come forward. He gets hit a lot. Errol gets hit, so they both get hit. But I would say Timmy's more defensively irresponsible than Errol. And I think we could look at the fights. We could look at the video footage and show that when it's time to exchange, Timmy let them hands go and eat those punches like they nothing. Sometimes he get hurt, sometimes he don't. But that's the part that Timmy's missing in his game that Tszyu had, his footwork. You're not gonna bully everybody into a win, bro. And Timmy's a bully, and I love that about him. I love the way he fights. But when you get
it's very entertaining.
But
it's
when
very
you get
entertaining.
hit, listen, when you get hit, you gotta have that footwork. You gotta have those survival tactics. Timmy don't have them. Timmy go off of instinct. So when he get hurt, boom! Yo, his legs is on jelly. He's throwing punches, but boom, he getting hit and throwing punches. And guess what? That's the way that you get knocked out, the way that you get hurt bad. So if Errol hurt him, Errol's a finisher. He's gonna resort to instinct and go on finishing mode, just like Tszyu would do the same if he hurt Errol.
They're both finishers, and that's the great question mark in this fight, is who's going to be able to land, because we have an orthodox versus a southpaw. Tszyu absolutely has that fundamental straight right hand from his father, because I'm sure he watched that ever since he was a child. At 2 years old, could barely stand up, he was throwing that right hand. So, and we have to understand that Earl Spence Jr. is not really like a straight left-hand puncher. He's more of the straight left hand to the body and then come up with the hook. You know what I'm saying? So he'll go straight left to the body, right hook. I've never seen him hurt anybody with just the straight left. Now, one thing, if you look at the Kell Brook versus Earl Spence fight, as far as southpaw versus orthodox, Kell Brook was countering the great jab of the 147-pound Earl Spence, right? He was timing. Kell Brook was timing that jab and coming over the top and tagging Earl, and Earl had to make adjustments. Eventually, he broke his orbital bone and stopped him. Kell Brook is a hell of a fighter, too, because he came from the UK to the United States and beat Sean Porter to become the IBF world champion. So let's not take
world champion.
Yes, very much legit, badass, very good fighter and I think he went after the money when he fought Triple G, and it ended up being no good for him. And Triple G's a very, very big guy, very strong puncher.
I agree.
So took more than he can chew. Now let's take that same scenario, and Tszyu is not as much of a puncher as Triple G, but yet again, we're going from 147 to 160. Tim's been a 154-pounder his whole career. 160 is probably not that bad for him. Yeah, especially when you look at the weight or the water loss to the brain. It's going to be great for both of them. So I don't know how much Tim walks around. He never looked like a big fighter to me or out of shape. Never looked like he had to cut much weight. Spence is a different story. We know that the water loss to the brain, you lose punch resistance. So it's going to be good for both of them to come in heavier and more natural, correct?
Well, think about it. Errol Spence last fought at 147, but we already knew that he was going to make a move to 154. In fact, remember that they wanted to make the rematch with Terrence Crawford at 154. And we know that Tszyu is a career 154-pounder. These dudes are about the same size. Because that's the thing. Timmy's not a big dude. You saw him in the face-off. He's not a big guy. So it's not like Errol Spence is, he's jumping up to 160 and fighting a 160-pounder. Timmy's not a 160-pounder. So, and I saw an interview where they asked Errol about the 160. He was like, we're going to fight at 158 or casual. We might as well fight 160 or actual class. So
I think that's the promotional idea out of Earl. Well, I think that's a promotional aspect of Earl. Why would I do a catchweight when I can actually be at a weight class and then put myself in the rankings, right?
So,
If you're making a comeback and you're a promoter fighter, I say that's a good business opportunity. But yet again, you're still fighting a guy at 160 when you're a former 147 pounder and he's a career 154 pounder. And Bakram versus Aliev, it was the boogeyman. Fundora is still the boogeyman. Those are the only men he's lost to. So
but
can you really take that away from Tszyu?
I mean,
Can you?
Tszyu, both of his losses have been to top-notch fighters, to great fighters. So you can't really, you can't really say that he's out there just losing to anybody. He's not. Tszyu is a great fighter. But I do have to point something out. When you look at Errol Spence, we have all these question marks about, the effects that the 3-year layoff may have on him. Those are basically the questions, right? But
And he's
there's
not
no
26, he's 36.
but there's no questions about Errol Spence's skills.
No, he was a top-notch amateur, and he was a 3-belt holder at 147 pounds. So, like I said, I like Earl Spence as a fighter. I don't like his life choices with the car wreck. I don't like his life choices with the drinking. I don't like his life choices with not taking a tune-up. It's like, are we going to see the Earl Spence that we should see, or is it a bad situation for him because he thinks he's like Tszyu thought he was going to fight a cherry pick. Murtazaliev just won his title. He had never defended it. PBC was like, oh, it's cherry pick. We're going to fight this dude. Nobody knows. Beat his ass. Get this IBF title. Walk out of there. And then look what happened to him.
Yeah. Murtazaliev gave him the beating of a lifetime.
I watched that fight again as soon as I got off this morning. Boxing's for breakfast, brother. I watched that fight again. You look at Murtazaliev, Tszyu was still smacking the shit out of him.
No, he landed some good shots. But damn, bro, he took a pummeling.
I think the first left hook, because that's a punch he didn't see, really fucked him up. But if you look at those 3 rounds, and we can say this about Hagler Hearns, as far as like the throwback kind of fights, Hagler Hearns didn't last but a few rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hagler beat Hearns, and Hearns went out on his back and went on to go to light heavyweight. Tszyu is that dude, in my opinion, as that, no, I don't care if I win or lose. As long as I'm putting on a spectacle for the fans and I go out on my shield, hey, man, my corner stopped the fight with that towel. I didn't stop myself. Like you said, he wasn't Xander Zayas on a knee looking at his corner and then they threw in the towel, right? You know what I'm saying?
Xander Zayas gave up. Xander Zayas definitely gave up.
So what does the Spence have to do to this guy that it was always in a bigger weight class than him, fought world-class opposition at that weight class?
I'm telling you, he just got to
what does he got to do?
Outbox him. That's it. You're not going to, because here's the thing. Errol's not going to try to out-tough him. He's not going to try to bully him. You can't do that with Tim. Even the people that beat him didn't bully him. Like they make him run away, right? So Tim is going to be there, and he's going to let the hands fly. But he can be outboxed. And here's the thing.
Yes.
In the midst of being outboxed, you can find an opportunity and hurt him. And if you do that, if Errol Spence is able to hurt him, he'll finish it. He's going to go into instincts are going to kick in, and he's going to go for the finish.
What's your thoughts on Jeff Fennick being in his corner now? He went from his uncle and his grandfather, right? The Russians, right? His whole life he trained with his uncle and his grandfather. And shout out to them. They brought him to world title contention and got him the world title. And they did that with his father, too. And shout out to him. And Tim doesn't have a close relationship to Tszyu, so you can't say that he lived in his father's shadow. He actually built that shit all on his own with his
No,
head.
he made his own name for himself. He made his own. Tszyu's done a great job of building his own name, his own brand, and not just being the son of Tszyu. There's people out there that don't even realize he's the son of Tszyu because he don't even put that out
He
there
don't
like that.
mention his father. He does not mention his father at all.
You know, he don't use his father as look like trying to, raise his image. He's doing it his own way.
Yeah, he's not Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. at all. There is no comparison between.
But I have to say, he would benefit from working with his father if he's not. You know why? Because obviously early in his career, his father was part of his boxing, like as an amateur and all that stuff. And you can see the influence of his father's boxing in his offensive firepower, in his arsenal, in his mechanics. You can see that he's worked with his pops on that right hand. He worked with his
But that's
pops. He worked with his pops on the hooks to the body and the combinations up, top, down, down.
no,
That's
no,
vintage
brother.
Tszyu stuff. How many times
No,
did
but
we see
that's
Tszyu? Think about it. How many times
he's
did we see Tszyu a jab to the body, straight to the head, left hook to the body, straight to the mouthpiece? Like
no. That
that's a
came from
Tszyu
Grandpa,
thing to
bro.
do, and he does it identically.
But Tim said he never really had a close relationship to his father, and his father never really worked with him on his boxing. That's something that it came from Tim, not from me. Tim said they came from his grandfather and his uncle. That's what he said. He watched his father fight because his mother, and I'm not even going to get into all that, but I'm just saying that it came from his grandpa and his uncle from daddy's side because daddy wasn't really around. But yet again, he speaks Russian. He understands. He talks to his grandparents, all that. And
So
hey, shout out
so
to y'all.
today he still don't have a relationship with Tszyu.
No, 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 brother. He does not have a relationship with his father, bro.
That's sad,
According
bro.
to him, and if I'm
That
wrong,
make
Tim,
that
I
honestly
sent
that
you
makes
this
me
link,
sad.
Tim. I'm
That
sorry,
makes me
brother. If
sad
I'm
to hear
speaking
that.
wrong, you correct me. But as far as what I've seen from interviews from him, no, he's not very close with his father. But a son idolizing his father is different, right? And
I'm sad to
understanding,
hear that, bro.
well, he idolized his father, and what I think is going to be the moment, right? And I love Zab Judah. Shout out to Mill City Boxing. Shout out Big Super Zab, right? Zab Judah showing Adrian Broner at 50, homie. Hey, bro, you can still have these six packs. And I mean, even Shane Mosley, senior. These 50-year-old men look better than me. And I think I
They
look pretty fucking good. And I was like, come on, man.
they in great
It,
shape, man. These dudes are in great shape.
but I think we might have a Costa Zoo versus Zab Judah moment because it's the straight right hand, the southpaw, the boxer puncher in the slickness of a Zab Judah with just a straight come forward right hand, hardly any defense kazoo. So it's I like the buildup of that. I really do. Because it brings entertainment because it brings the nostalgia back to boxing to the new era. And remember, Zab Judah shouldn't have been stopped in that fight, but because he fell the second time according to the rules, which those rules were changed after that fight. If you have a knockdown and you stand up and you fall again, they ended the fight, and that's why it was waved off. So if anybody doesn't understand that, that was the rules of the Nevada State Athletic Commission at the time, and those have been changed.
But right in that, I think I told you before. That was the first time that I ever lost money on a fight. So that may be a factor in what I'm about to say. What and obviously I trained in Gleason's gym. I used to see Zab Judah every day before that fight. At that time, I was at the gym already. But a couple of years before that, I was in Gleason's gym. I used to see Zab every day. I already knew he was gonna become a champion and all that stuff. So when it was going to happen, I felt confident he was gonna beat Costa, right? And I still to this day feel like it played out the way that it did because Zab went down and the ego being stunned, he jumped up real fast. without having his legs under him. I felt like if he would have got dropped and took a knee and took the 8 count in a knee and then got up, the round would have finished within a few seconds and he would have went back to boxing.
Totally different fight. Totally
it would have
different
been
fight.
a totally different fight. But that's the way that it played out. Because if you look at it, he was outboxing Tszyu. Let's not make no mistake about it. In the first round, my man was even putting his hands down and everything, showing up. Like, he was outboxing him. The difference in speed was by a landslide. And then in the second round, he would have won. If he didn't get hit with that shot, right, and the round finishes, he wins that round too. He just got caught with a major shot. Was it the second or the third?
I thought it was the first. I thought that fight didn't go more than
No. It wasn't in the first.
I gotta check.
It wasn't in the first.
I gotta check.
It was the second or the third. I'm not sure. I think it was.
I gotta check now, damn it. Like, now you got me doing research.
Yeah, check it. It was the second. Salute my people. Yo, I'm hanging out with the Lunatic Libertarian fellas. Look at him right there. He's fact checking. When did Tszyu stop Tszyu? What round? I say it was round number 2. I'm going off of memory. You guys know I'm getting older now. So sometimes it get blurry a little bit. That's why they call it a puncher's change. A puncher's chance.
Second round. 259 of the second round.
There you go. Second round. And you see the 259? Basically means, like I just told you, has Tszyu took a knee, took the 8 count, then got up. The round is over. You got a minute to recover, and you go back to boxing. That's it.
Right.
If you even notice, when the referee waved it, Tszyu flipped out right away. He was already ready to go.
When he got up, he looked at, what was it, Peter Neely? I forget what the fuck. One of the referees I really hated when I was growing up in boxing
right away.
He was like,
choke him.
Yeah, he was like, you better not stop this fight, and then he fell again, and then he waved it off. So I forget homie's name, the big tall white dude, but he was not a fan favorite of mine when it came to referees. One of my favorite referees ever was Tony Weeks, and that was based off the 2005 matchup between Castillo versus Corrales 1. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't watch boxing, you better go back to May 5th, 2005 and watch that fight. Cinco de Mayo, baby. You want to talk about a fucking banger? Woo! 135-pound unification. One of the greatest fights of the 2000s. Hands down. Castillo Corrales won probably one of the greatest fights ever. Literally, that was ever televised.
And one of the most dramatic finish ever. Like, anytime you talk about a dramatic finish, that fight has to come up. Because Corrales was hurt bad. He was hurt.
Dropped twice.
Like, a lot of fighters, after Corrales got dropped the second time, a lot of fighters would have stayed on that knee. A lot of fighters would have Xander Sayed it. He got up.
Yeah, but Joe Goosen had them tricks up his sleeve. Just spit your mouthpiece out. And then he lost the point. So he got dropped twice and then lost the point on the mouthpiece. Came back and hurt Castillo with the right hand and then finished him with the left hook. And the only thing that kept Castillo up was the rope. So Tony Weeks came in. Tony Weeks at that time, one of the greatest referees because he let them fight on the inside.
Somebody told me that Tony Weeks jumped the gun and that he shouldn't have stopped it. And I'm like, bro, if you watch the replay, Castillo's literally out on his feet like that. His hands is not even defending himself no more. How you gonna say let it keep going? Nah, cause it could have kept. Like, nah, bro. You want the fighter to get killed? Al
Bernstein and his commentator, Albert. I forget his first name, but he died of cancer. He was related to the dude that bit the woman, Scott Albert or whatever his name is, the NBA dude. But he said, oh, he was a rag doll. Yeah, his eyes were rolled back in his head. as he
Yo,
got hit with that punch, and then Tony
you,
Weeks jumped in,
you
saved
know
his
what's
ass.
the biggest telltale that it was a good stoppage? When Tony Weeks stepped in,
Castillo was
you
like,
never saw Castillo complain. Did you see him go, no, no? Nah, he just looked at him like that. He was done, bro.
he instantly started crying.
He was done. He knew, but he didn't complain. He didn't. Oh,
No, Castillo instantly started crying because he didn't know what happened and he knew he lost the fight. So whatever. I mean, but let's get back to this Tim Tszyu fight because I love nostalgia. We can get into a whole bunch of shit, but how does Earl Spence establish his jab over Tim Tszyu's counter right hand to timing, and how does he attack the body when Tim Tszyu versus the longest southpaw of the 154-pound division can still land his left hook?
okay. So if I'm not mistaken, because I don't know off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken, Errol does have a reach advantage on Tim Tszyu. Okay,
Yes, he does.
that reach advantage, he is gonna use it to keep Tim on the outside of his punching range. And Errol, like I told you before, he has better footwork than Tim Tszyu. So if somebody has better footwork than you and they have a good jab, which I don't think nobody would ever question, does Errol have a good jab or not? He's always had that. We're gonna see it against Tszyu. So I believe that he is gonna establish the jab early. He's gonna win the jab war in this fight. Timmy's gonna apply pressure, and Timmy's gonna look to get on the inside and hurt him. Timmy's gonna look to do what he does, the combination punches to the body to the wig piece. But remember, my brother, Errol Spence was called the body snatcher for a reason. Let's not make no mistake about it. Let's not act like Errol Spence wasn't out there stopping people to the body and dropping people to the rib cages. The body snatcher,
Hey
that's what they used
man,
to call him. I don't think that
I
just
got
ran
my
away.
ribs broken in spar, bro. I know what that feels like. I got this rib right here separated, this one split. I got hit by my boy. What's funny, what's funny, Jay, is my guy, my boy. We were at the smallest gym in all of Wisconsin. No affiliation to USA Boxing. He took the 154-pound gold medal. I took the 164-pound silver medal out of a gym that nobody ever heard of. So when it comes to and he broke my ribs. One of the hardest punchers at that small weight division I ever went up against, and I sparred heavyweights. It's kind of funny that Earl Spence Jr. fought a lot of smaller men that were moving up, but yet again he still stopped them. I don't. Him not stopping Mikey Garcia, is that the toughness of Mikey Garcia, or is that the evolution of Earl Spence? I don't know. Mikey Garcia was a tough dude. His brother was stopped
So,
by
so here's
guys.
the thing. Here's the thing. Mikey Garcia got to a point where he was just out there trying to survive. He was just like, if you think about it, it was a shutout. Errol Spence pitched a shutout, 12-0. Mikey never won a round, never was competitive, never was. So it went the distance because he went there, at one. It got to a point where Mikey was out there to survive. And I can
Oh
tell
yeah,
you, it's very hard to stop a fighter who's out there to survive. At one point, Errol said it himself. I heard him, and I went for the stoppage, but he started, using his movement. Mikey Garcia is a multi-division elite level champion. He started using his movement, using his survival tactics.
very smart
Not gonna
fighter. Very
stop him.
smart fighter.
A fighter who's very smart, he's already gonna lose. But when he uses his survival tactics, you're not gonna stop him. He knows when to clinch. He knows when to use that lateral movement. He knows when to do the step back. You're not stopping him. You're just gonna beat him up the rest of the way.
So the way that I analyze this fight is that you take the example of Kell Brook with the southpaw versus orthodox. Tim does have a good jab when he uses it. Tim, we already know about that laser right hand that he has. If he can land it, he's got a laser, and that's born and bred into him watching his father. Earl Spence does go to the body. I saw in the first fight versus Fundora, Tim got hit with a body shot that hurt him, but yet again, it didn't drop him. And it never deterred him from actually throwing punches. Is Earl going to be able to hurt Tszyu, the guy that's been on the canvas in the first round in
I
multiple
mean, I think he
fights?
could
Can
hurt
he
him.
hurt him?
I think he could hurt him. Because here's the thing about Errol that you have to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very good counterpuncher, bro. He's a very
I've never
good
said that he wasn't.
counterpuncher.
I've never said that he wasn't.
You
Never
know
said that he
what you
wasn't.
can expect him to do on Tszyu, and it's gonna land. And I don't know how many times he'll do it successfully, but you can expect the lefty to catch the shorter fighter coming in with the right, with the good old a little half a roll, boom, coming back with that uppercut right to the snack box.
And that's what knocked him down in the first fight versus
Errol does
Fundora. So
that.
do you think?
Errol will give you the good old.
And that should be Tszyu right there, brother. Right?
Not even
That's Tim.
Errol Spence.
That's the mimicking of Tszyu right there. Is JSmiff camera goes. Ah!
Somebody's going down. I'm trying to tell you, bro. I'm trying to tell you. Look, one thing is for sure. I don't see this fight going the distance.
I don't either. I do not see it either.
I do not see this fight going the distance, my guy. I think it is going to be a stoppage, but I don't know that Tim is going to win this. I gotta say, like I mentioned before, you know, there's a concern with what version of Errol Spence we're going to see, but we'll find out on Saturday, right?
Yeah, that big question mark. Now Earl looked big. Earl looked big. He looked solid. Yeah, he looked strong. But yet again, we understand that Sebastian Fundora is probably one of the hardest tasks at 154 pounds. Brian Mendoza, who is the only dude to beat Fundora, stopped him, knocked him out. Fundora never got up from when he knocked him out. Okay, Brian Mendoza got fucked up by Tszyu.
Yeah, so, but you know that.
I know, but I'm just saying. And Brian Mendoza backs up Earl Spence as far as, you know, the sparring or whatever they did. So styles make fights. Do you think that Tszyu can land his straight right hand?
I think he can.
I absolutely think he can.
Of course he can.
Of course. And
that's why I say this fight doesn't go the distance, because Errol and Tim, they both got the firepower to stop the guy standing in front of them. Let me just give a shout out to everybody tuning in on Box Center with JSmiff, Braska Rug, JJ Zendejas, TLM, everybody who's in the building, fellas. I'm rocking with the Lunatic Libertarian. We talking about Tszyu, Errol Spence. Y'all let us know what y'all think about this fight. Lunatic, I tell you what, I have a feeling that a fight is going to break out in the first round. I don't know who's going to apply pressure first. I don't know who's going to pull out the heavy artillery first. But as soon as one of the two guys throws some hard bombs, the other one is going to retaliate right away, because that's the type of fighter that Errol and Tim both are. We're going to get fireworks.
Jeff Fennick is in the corner of Tszyu. And when he fought Azuma Nelson, please, if you don't watch boxing, people, go watch Jeff Fennick versus Azuma Nelson 1 in 120-degree heat outside in Australia. One of the
loud fest. By the way, listen, TLM says Spence gonna beat him up. Oh, wait a minute, but Broly says Spence might get stopped. Oh, man.
Hey, shout out to PM Fizzle, watching from Sydney. Let's go, Timmy. Hey, shout out, man. Hey, when I was at the first Fundora fight, I sat next to the promoter's brother at that fight and talked to them gentlemen. Very, very nice people. Sat behind Omar Figueroa Jr. I had Sam Watson look at me, brother. It was like, who's this regular ass person in these $3,000
sitting up in the crowd?
And it's great because I got to talk to people. I saw Caleb Plant. I met Ugas. I met Omar Figueroa Jr. Met all these people, all these fighters, right? Who are just regular people. You were a fighter. I was never a professional fighter. I wish I could have a professional fight. Bare knuckle boxing, BKFC. I have my MRI, Tesla 3. It's very recent. I know I'm over 40, but come holler at me. I want to throw these hands.
Oh,
See?
you trying to throw them hands up in there. Yo,
Yeah, now, JSmiff, look at my knuckle. Look at my knuckle. I was hitting
I
the bag
cracked my
yesterday at my
phone, my
son's
people. Look at
gym.
the crack. Yup.
That's how you know you're hitting the bag the right way. That's the only scar is the biggest knuckle on my fist. Right in the center. That's how you know you're hitting the bag the right way. It's dead center. Dead center.
Right in the
So,
middle.
and, you know, I fought at 164, you know, and I dropped 40 pounds to go to the Golden Gloves in 2023. And I showed my son, Odin, is going to be ridiculous. 5'11", 14 years old, 177 pounds. He's going to be a monster. And he going to be a monster.
Stay focused. Yeah.
Well,
So make
with
your
me as his
prediction,
father,
man. Make
I
your
got
prediction.
another other reason why.
I want to hear your prediction because you haven't told me how is this fight going to play out. Who's going to win?
I got Tszyu under 8 rounds. Knockout.
Under 8 rounds?
Knockout.
Ooh.
Bad knockout. Patrick Day knockout.
Hold on. Like a TKO or sleeping?
No, Patrick Day knockout. Like, bad. It's going to be bad.
Damn,
like, I want Earl to make it out of Australia, brother. I want Earl to make it out of Australia, brother. As a veteran and a person that drinks a little bit too much of this, been in car accidents and had the noodles scrambled a little too much, I really wish the best for Earl Spence, but I really think that straight right hand's gonna scramble his brains, bro. Yeah, it could be bad. It could be really bad for Earl. It really could. And I'm not saying that out of any malice, brother. I love fighters.
TLM got a stoppage. TLM got Errol stopping him by the 11th. There's a lot of people that see Errol being the one who get the stoppage, bro. Listen. I gotta get out of here, but before I do, I gotta make my prediction. I'm gonna have to do it. You're gonna make me do it, bro. You're gonna make me do it. You know that I haven't even made my prediction on my show. I'm gonna do it on yours.
Oh, beautiful. Hey, Jay Stradamus is going to predict on the Lunatic Libertarian who's going to win Tszyu versus Earl Spence Jr. in Australia at the Crossroads fight, right? Let me know, brother. Let me know who's going to win this fight, brother.
So as I look into my crystal ball, I can tell you that, damn, bro, this shit looks foggy as hell. I'm not going to be able to make the prediction. I tried.
It's hard, man, and I hate predictions. You know, they do that shit for the betting lines, right? But as a fighter, man, you really can't put nothing past either one of these gentlemen.
No, look,
they put their hearts on the line in the ring, and I admire them both for doing it.
Look, I like to make predictions when I feel comfortable, when I feel like, yeah, I know what's going to happen here. But sometimes, really, you make a prediction and you're just guessing, and that's bullshit. I don't like to guess. I like to know what I'm talking about. But, my brother, I'm going to have to get out of here. I want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate you inviting me on your platform. And I'm going to see you tomorrow in Boxing for Breakfast, man. We're going to keep it going.
Exactly. And as scrolling across the bottom of the screen, Boxing for Breakfast, JSmiff 2.0 Box Center. Go check him out. Go check his channel out. Everybody, go check out what it really takes to be a boxer from the people that actually throw them gloves on. And we may not be the people that you see on TV, but there's hundreds of thousands of men out there and women that fight every single day in the boxing gym, and they don't get the accreditation. And that's what I'm trying to do through this platform.
Bam. My brother, you already know. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. And anytime you want to do it, we have to set it up where I got the screen share, and we'll really break out these fights with, like, oh, this combination and everything else. But JSmiff, Appreciate you, brother. Have a good
We'll make
evening.
it happen, family. Salute.
Salute. Everybody, JSmiff has to go. Who do you have in this fight? Do you have Earl Spence Jr. beating Tszyu, or do you have Tszyu beating Earl Spence? Is it a decision? Is it a knockout? Is it a TKO? Is it brutal? Is it a chess match? Let everybody know how this fight actually really turns out, because the skill sets of human beings that are opposing each other, especially when it's one-on-one, there is no offsets. Like if you've ever been in the military, you know about offsets. Well, I got flankers coming in. You finna be. My whole purpose is to get you here, and then I'm gonna do this to you here. But yet again, when it's an individual person against an individual person, and it's skill set for skill set, who do you have in this fight? I think that Tszyu will come victorious because he's active. He's the bigger man, supposedly. Earl Spence it cut a lot of weight to make 147. Jared Hurd did that same shit throughout his whole career. What happened to him? Their brains got soft, literally. The water, once the water is drained from your brain to make that weight, and you get hit here, it only takes 3 to 5 pounds worth of pressure to put you to sleep, because it's a pressure point. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about boxing either. Earl Spence Jr. is the truth, or was he? Tszyu is the soul snatcher, or was he? So many questions are going to be answered. I love both these fighters. I think it's going to be fireworks. I hope they make weight. I hope we have a fight at the end of the day. The card that is supporting this promotion is excellent. Should be fireworks in Australia. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. Like, share, subscribe. Go check out JSmiff. Go check out my boy Mo. Behind the Hands TV. One of the best commentators out in Houston. Shout out Red Alf. Shout out everybody out there making that stuff happen, because without the people that's actually interested in boxing, you don't have a sport. You don't have anything. If you don't have money behind it, you don't have anything. If you don't buy tickets or support fighters or the merchandise, they can't have training camps. They can't pay their boxing managers. They can't pay their bills. Let's get out here and support these fighters. Let's get out of here and support these men and women that are out here trying to navigate the world through a combat sport, which is probably one of the most difficult things you can do in life. And they do it every single day. And like I said to JSmiff, to the people that don't make it, we need to set y'all up with something, because there are individuals that sign them waivers and get critically hurt in these gyms. They need a support system too, because all they're trying to do is get out there and make it just like you. Gerald McClellan was a professional fighter that had his life insurance ran out, and then it's sad out here. And people die in this sport all the time. It doesn't make the sport bad. It just makes the support system that supports the people out there bad. Because this is prize fighting. And we need nest eggs for everybody. So get out there, support your local fighters, support your local community. Stop making the world have to make professional prize fighters for your entertainment, because American Gladiators, I thought, ended in 1987. But yet again, I digress. I'm the Lunatic Libertarian. This is the fight analysis. I had my boy JSmiff on it. Go check him out. Go check out my boy. Well, he's not my boy. I just love his channel. Behind the Hands TV. I know Mo. Go check out OS Podcast. Go check out Mill City Boxing. Go check out everybody that has the boxing mind, because you might learn something. I'm the Lunatic Libertarian. Everybody, you have a wonderful evening. You stay free and unoppressed. Peace.